Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Sideline Sit Down. This is Real Sports Live. I'm Mark Molina, and this is our first show of the day. We will have two shows today. We'll have a signing here at 2 o'clock. We have guys that are out of town. We were doing some softball up in Kyle, Texas. So Kevin Naro, Joe Bowling, Billy Watson, all of them, they were up there. All the guys that were doing softball. So live sports coming back a little bit, trickling in. But we have a very special guest today here. Coach David Cantu, Brownsville Veterans Memorial, athletic coordinator. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Mark. It's always good to chit chat with you. I've always been a big fan of your writing and the fact that you're from the Rio Grande Valley. I see you as one of our big time talents. So you asking me, I'm honored.
Hey, Coach, appreciate that so much. And so things are starting to get back to a little bit of normalcy. Talking to a couple of coaches, I mean, it's still very cautious. There's still a lot to worry about, but it seems like BISD did their work, have done a really good job, have worked diligently to get some of these kids out here, and it seems last week all 6 BISD schools were out and about. How's that been like? How's the process been like for you as an athletic coordinator? Making sure that everybody crosses their T's, dots their I's, to get these workouts going and safe.
Okay, so let's rewind about a couple of weeks ago before we started, and boy, I tell you, I'm usually one who writes long emails on things we have to do and details, but this particular task was unique and different because of the severity of the situation. And man, we had so many things put in place. If you come to our school right now, to our athletic area outside, and you'll see so many, social distance dots that we used 8 feet, and we put so many measures in place. We have, it was a humongous task. And I'll say this, before our first day, I probably slept an hour and a half. And I'm not one to lose a sleep over football games and stuff like that. But I just wanted to, I was thinking in my mind, every little possible thing that we needed to do so that the parents will trust us with their kids. And knowing that this particular, summer program, it really does, it's going to allow us to either prove that we can do it or not do it. But then again, that being said, as big as Brownsville is and the Valley is, let's, even if there's a case that happens down the road or whatever, that's not a reflection on the school and how we're doing things. I think all the schools have done an awesome job of getting ready, and I'm very proud of the way we have our situation set up and the fact that we were able to have our athletic trainers here. It's just many, many things have gone into play, and I'm very at peace with how we did it.
Yeah, for sure. And talking to Coach Leal, of course, the BISD athletic director, he talked about how diligent everybody worked and, the things he went through and kind of going through. It's an ongoing situation, following the UIL, who's following the CDC. It's a lot of moving parts. So, I mean, it's about having to pay attention. It seems like BISD has done a great job. What have the numbers been like for you? I know down the road, Pace has seen some big numbers. I know in Harlingen, Coach Davies told me their numbers were up even from last year. I know that probably has to do with kids being eager to get out and do something. But what's it look like for you? And kids morale, just what's that been like the first week or so?
Okay, well, the first question in regards to numbers, we had 184 kids today, and
Wow.
Yeah, it is. Wow, we've had kids. What we did, it's important for you to know and everybody to know. It wasn't 184 kids showed up at one time. We actually had 4 different phases come in. Mm-hmm. We have our 6:45 phase, which is our older football boys, our 11th and 12th graders come in at 6:45 in the morning. Yeah. And then at 7:15 we have our cross country kids show. And then at 8:15, we have our freshman and 10th grade football players show. And then at what time is it? At 9:15, we have all other sports are invited or girls. So that helped us. We never got overwhelmed by everybody coming all at once. But our numbers last week were consistent between 165 and 175. Like I said, today 184. The morale, Mark, has been incredible. You said it. The kids had not been in school for quite a while. And you could tell it. I put on Twitter last week something to where, and I really meant it. I took a picture of the kids, and then the first thing that came to my mind was it reminded me so much of when you're a little kid, kindergartners, first graders, when they're so excited to go to the first day of school. And we were there. But of course, by the time you get older and you get to high school, that enthusiasm drops. And it's funny how that happens, but it seems like that came around again. So I've done this, for many a summer. Back when I was the OC at Los Reynolds, we were having these summer conditions. Never have I seen such a sharp focus, and just it's been an absolute joy. Coaches just working their tails off, and kids who are like just so, I think, just like so glad just to be able to be at school with their teammates. And yes, it's different, and yes, it's it's not exactly everything we want to be able to do right away, but I've just been so impressed by the kids.
Yeah, and you talk about the 4 different phases and not being overwhelmed. I mean, coming to that point has to be. I mean, it's not easy work to kind of set this up in a way to where everybody's safe and to where you're comfortable and at ease. Just what were some of the challenges maybe getting here to this point to where you do have a system that's working very well? Like how was that
Mark,
process?
that was probably the most challenging part. Is okay, how are we going to do this? And there was even a time where we thought, okay, we'll bring the kids in for strength and conditioning for an hour and a half in the morning, and then bring them back in the evenings. And I mean, it was just crazy. There's all these ideas, but I'm gonna be honest. I researched so many programs in the state, and finally found one. As soon as I saw it, I kept reading it over and over again. And so I picked up the phone and called the coach who did it, and it was Cody Simper at Corpus Christi Veterans. He had a plan that pretty much I mirrored, and it made a lot of sense, to where the football kids are going to come in early, and we're going to make them do football right away, because the football kids are not going to want to miss that. I think if we would have started with strength and conditioning, we may have struggled a little bit getting them there on time. But so we did the football early, and then including the all sports at the end and so forth. So no, I once I found that and talked to a couple of my coaches that I normally confide in, we went with it, and it's been a really good schedule for us. And I'm glad we found it. It's been good. And I was a little skeptical at first, obviously, because we know a lot of schools have done that where they practice in the mornings. We don't. We haven't done that. So this was new, asking kids to come that early. But I'm glad we did it, and our attendance was just fantastic.
Yeah, and it seems to be working. I know a lot of your fellow coaches. I had on Coach Gibson a couple of weeks ago, and just one of the things, especially when I talk to a lot of the coaches, they kind of talk about the support that you give them. I mean, and it just seems like you work in a really good cohesive group with all your coaches, have really great relationships, them and students alike. And it just goes to show with the success you guys have had at Brownsville Veterans. I mean, it's a relatively still a young school, but I mean, you guys have had a lot of success, and a lot of it has come under you. I mean, it's just just what's it like being in an athletic program like that, and having all these coaches working as hard as they do. How does that make your day-to-day job, and just what's that overall feeling like?
Well, you hit on something pretty important, and this building is newer than many. It's 10 years old now, and the facilities are nice, but it's not about that. It's not about the bricks and the buildings and all that. It's about the people that end up being here. And Coach Guest, when he got this started back in 2010, hired some really fantastic people. One of them in particular, who's my offensive coordinator now, Sammy Montalvo, he was brought on to be the head track coach. He's my right-hand man. I mean, so having him here is crucial. But every person who's brought here, it's a real careful process. I'm not going to put my neck on the line for someone unless they have a reputation of being an outstanding teacher first, to be honest with you. When I was in the classroom, I taught science, and I wanted to be known as one of the best teachers on campus. When I was at Los Fresnos, I wanted every teacher to know that I took my job seriously, because sometimes coaches get a bad rap on being maybe not the best teachers. But that's, I've passed on a lot of coaches along the way who just had reputations of being maybe lazy or whatever in the classroom. But that has led, I think, to having a staff we can be super proud of here. And it's not perfect by any means, but nothing is. But the camaraderie we have is outstanding. We work well together. We have so many kids that do multiple sports, and you know, you don't see that in a lot of places. Some of our best football players have been guys on the soccer team. Abel Martinez a couple of years ago was a star defender on the soccer team and was our star running back. And how often do you see that? It's kind of rare, to be honest. And I can mention many, many, many others. So there's a respect that all the head coaches have for each other's programs that goes a long way. And I have to say this: we've been very fortunate. When I came here, the principal was Mary Solis, and she was very supportive of athletics. And now our principal is Dr. Linda Gallegos, and she's our number one cheerleader. I don't know how she does it, but she literally attends like about every single function you can think of. And she's amazing. You can see her at soccer games with her drum and at baseball games, at everything. And that person right there is crucial to our success as well.
Yeah, you would never tell that she was a principal. Every time I see her out there, she's with her pride shirt on and jeans, and she's like cheering and everything. So yeah, that's good support. You don't see that in a lot of places. So I definitely understand the presence she brings to those games. So that's interesting, Coach. I did not know you taught science. I don't know if we've talked about it at length, but I mean, does that ever trickle down into what you do on the field? I mean, I assume you would try to incorporate it somehow, or I mean, just has that knowledge ever helped you or crossed with you on the field?
Well, you know what? There's not so much I was a biology major. I taught a little bit of chemistry, and towards the end of my career, teaching wise, I was the teacher that all the seniors who couldn't pass their science tax test back then, I was the guy who got all those students. But that was such a wonderful class because everybody wanted to really learn so they could pass the test and graduate. But no, I tell you this much is, just teaching and coaching is so similar. You got to be able to command an audience. You got to be able to get in front of a group of kids and be confident with what you're doing. And, I learned by teaching a lot. I started off as a sixth grade science teacher, then a biology teacher for 7 years, and then the science tax guy there towards the end. But, that same aura you got to have, and it's the same exact thing. When you get in front of a team and you're talking about a game plan, it's just a certain way you have to present it and kind of prove it, so to speak, that it's a solid game plan, because kids are smart, man. I'll tell you, kids are extremely intelligent. They can see through just about everything, and they know whether you're genuine or not. So, man, I love teaching. Now, as a matter of fact, when I was the OC in Los Fresnos, I don't think there's quite a few coordinators around and so forth that didn't teach, but that was something I kind of wanted to hang on to. I know the defensive coordinator at the time at Los Fresnos was Jason Wheeler, and he didn't teach any classes, but it never bothered me. I was never jealous or upset or, that's not fair. I actually enjoyed going to class for a couple, they were block schedule. So it was an hour and a half each, but I had two of those, and it was almost like a time to get away from athletics for a little while or something. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It seems to me, an outsider, but if you can get the kids' attention in the classroom, I feel like, bringing them out to the football field, it just kind of seems like the transition would be really good, easy, command their attention. I think it would be harder to get the attention of a kid in the classroom, So I mean, kudos.
I tell you what, but they both helped each other out.
Yeah.
And the coaching part, the little things you learn about gaining, someone's attention and so forth. And then just talking to the kids about life lessons and those type of things. That came around with coaching. There are different head coaches who came that I worked with, and little by little I started thinking, this would be good for the classroom too. So we would actually take some time and do some character lessons in science, and I think it helped. I really do.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, Coach. And I know your kids. Really are driven, and they go all out for you. And you have really good kids. Every time I go out there, they're all really well mannered, well spoken, and just a lot of great kids overall in that program. Especially during this past football season, I noticed a lot of your kids. There was a lot of tweaks. There's a lot of changes going on during the season, but a lot of the kids just kind of did their job. You'd be like, whatever I got to do, I'm gonna do. So you don't always find that, but just speak on your kids, how they were this season through this football year. Let's talk about that a little bit. How were they? How was their attitude? Throughout the year. I mean, I know you guys didn't make the postseason, but you guys just kind of put your feet in and dug, finish the season strong with the win. I mean, no matter what, in the face of adversity, just how did the kids' attitude kind of help, in that?
Well, I think just we knew going into that last game that it was just pretty much playing for pride and so forth. So we made that like our play, like this was going to be our game, our last time to feature ourselves. And man, that's the best game we played, that last one against Palmview. But that being said, every season's special, every season's unique. This particular group of kids, we had a lot of challenges and like every other team, but the story of the team was just, in my opinion, a story of kids that were pretty selfless and did a good job. We just came up short a couple times. It came down really to the Pace game, whether we're going to make the playoffs or not. And Pace, did such a tremendous job that night. They really wanted it. And not that we didn't, but sometimes, things happen. And I think that's there are a lot of positive comes out of that too, but I don't know. It was a season. We finished 7-3, so it's hard to feel too horrible about it, even though we didn't get to the postseason. Going back to Palmview, they played against Mission Vets. Mission Vets is kneeling the ball, trying to run out the clock, and it looked like that game's going to be over, and Mission Vets is going to win. I think it's a week before we play them, and then all of a sudden the punter snaps it over the guy's head, and then Did you see that play, Mark?
Yeah. It's football's weird game, coach.
Like that was the craziest last, I guess, 20 seconds I've ever seen in if that punt just gets off, we play Palmview. Maybe it's different because now it's a different mindset. But if it's just, but that's the beauty of sports, though. I'm not bringing it up out of regret or out of like angst. Sports is beautiful, and I think right now with this whole COVID situation, I think that's what affected our society and our communities more than anything. Is we have not a whole lot of things to distract us. It's hard for me not to have my Houston Astros right now and not to be looking forward to summer camps coming up for the Cowboys and NBA playoffs. Would that still be going on? I think so,
they
right?
Probably be finishing up or in the middle of the finals. Yeah.
I think that's why, The Last Dance, that comes out and that everybody's just in tune to it. Sports does something to us. It's magical. I remember when I was going to be a senior, Coach Jesus Amaya was hired at Los Fresnos as our coach. And he said something that hit me, and what he said was, I don't care if you're brown. I don't care if you're white, black, purple, green. Of course, he did all these colors. He goes, if you're willing to work hard, play hard, and then I'm going to coach you. Just saying that with sports, race doesn't matter. We're all a brotherhood here. We're all in this together, and that's the beauty of sports as well. It brings all that. But I don't know how I got off on that tangent, Mark. But
it's fine, Coach. It's great. I love that, and yeah, like you said, it's one of those things that I guess you don't appreciate how beautiful the game of sports is. I mean, people look at the fanatics and the coaches and be like, okay, that guy takes his job really seriously, and like, why is this guy always like, watching sports, or why do you always have it on ESPN? Like, why does this? Well, it's just one of those things, like you don't understand, like how beautiful, like it's a thing of art. You look at it, especially for me when I watch it, watching a blowout game, like it's fun to watch like high scoring games, but there's an art in a defensive struggle, whether it be in any sport, So there's and last second things like that punt, like football is just a game of inches, a couple of a bounce here, bounce there, and it's completely different. I talked to you mentioned Coach Guess earlier. I talked to him about the Brandeis game in the playoffs a couple of years ago. He misses an extra point, and then all of a sudden you chase an extra point here, and maybe you go for two here, and if you just if you don't do that, it comes out different. You lose by a point. I think he lost by 2. And they had a chance for a field goal at the end, but this got out of position. But it's one of those things where football, you never know what happens. It's really, literally a game of inches. So I mean, and for you guys, I think that punt changed it all. I think you guys would have had a chance at a play-in if that doesn't happen. And I don't think anybody thought Mission Vets was going to lose that game. I thought everybody kind of penciled them in. I think even a couple of scores were reported wrong, and they were like, "Oh snap!" So it's a weird game and it's a fun game, and I don't think we appreciate it until it's gone. So I think it's
Yeah.
a great point there, Coach, and it does bring a lot of people together. And but yeah, I mean, even though you guys fall short, that's a heck of a district to finish 7-3 in. You finish 7-3, or I mean, a lot of teams would kill, but you're in a district with the Palm Views. Rio Grande City had a great year. Mission Veterans and Pace. I mean, going to some of these places and hosting these teams is not an easy feat, especially in a 10-team district. I mean, just what's that been like the last couple of years? It's different. You have to prepare a different way. Just what's that been like?
Yeah, and just more than anything, 10 teams. Just there being 10 and knowing that your odds are normally, now that 4 teams get in a normal district with 8 teams, it's a 50% chance, and no, all of a sudden it goes down to 40%. And there's some districts nearby that there's 6 teams, and all of a sudden that's a 66% chance. So the odds were a little lower. So we knew that, but no, I loved it though. I got to develop friendships with coaches that I wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise. And Coach Gilpin and I, we had one playoff game prior to being in the same district, but got to get to know him better. And having Rio Grande City and seeing the changes they went through and seeing that program rise up this year, that was fun to see. Even though we lost a game over there to them, it doesn't take away from the fact that it was fantastic, man. I have no regrets about anything. We got what we deserved. We like to say that around here. You don't necessarily get what you want in life, you get what you deserve. So the fact that we didn't get in the postseason, that's on us. We didn't deserve to, but there's something now and perhaps that's why the focus has been so sharp. We talked earlier about summer strength and conditioning and football specific drills. I mean, the kids are definitely want to prove that they belong. And that being said, we lost to Mission Vets in Rio and the 2 FAR schools, and now we got McAllen Memorial, Mac High, Nicky Rowe, and Wesco East. So those are, in my opinion, 4 heavyweights. And
yeah,
but I feel like we can be right there with them. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I look at that, and I look at you guys. I'm like, you guys have been to the 4 when it was 5A. You've been in those ranks before, and you guys have had success there before in the past. I think in the last 6 to 10 years, I bring this up a lot when I'm on this show. It's just it seems like the competition and the athletes, especially like in Brownsville, is just the level has just gone up. It seems like there's more and more athletes, and it seems like the Brownsville schools, especially in the last 5 or so years, have gotten a lot more competitive. And you see district championships, you see more longer playoff runs. Just what's that been like to see in the town? Just I feel it's been flourishing the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that's something that we talked about quite a bit years ago. When I got to Veterans, and even when I was at Rivetta, but Brownsville can really fend for themselves, and we've had a lot of great teams. There've been some outstanding individual athletes, but more than that, just teams that really do believe in themselves. I think more than maybe what happened in the past for whatever reason. Sometimes a team just has to knock the door down, right? And then once one has success, then all of them realize like, hey, we know those guys. Those guys aren't any better than us. I mean, we played with them in junior high or whatever. So. But the mentality is a very confident one. And I don't think there's a kid on our team that feels like we're going to be, going into any situation outmatched or I don't think there's any feeling of inferiority. That's for sure. I think it's but as you bring it up, Mark, I think it's been a fantastic thing to see. And because I think Brownsville is just a beautiful place. And there's been so many of the top athletes in town, like I mentioned earlier, we've had some soccer kids play football, and perhaps in the past that's what hurt Brownsville, but maybe now we're seeing more of those top athletes play more than one sport, and some of the soccer guys coming out and making our teams better. Not sure what it is, but it exists. I do remember, maybe my 2015, we were setting up games, and one of the coaches was a new hire in the Upper Valley. And the AD, prior to him being hired, had already accepted a game with us. And I'll never forget what he said. At the time, he said something like, well, I really didn't want to play at Brownsville school. And he wasn't talking about it was kind of the distance or anything. He really meant it as, Brownsville schools were not looked at very highly back then.
Mhm.
And man, I remember all summer long, I think my football team heard that saying from me about 100 times or maybe more. And but little by little, it's gotten to a point where we don't have to talk about it anymore. Now it's the kids do know that they can compete with anybody. I think it's definitely gotten to that point. In the past, I guess what I'm getting at is 2015, me yelling to the kids, they didn't want to play at Brownsville school. That's not even necessary. I mean, it's to get them fired up. Like they can compete.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I look at it, and it's not like I think people forget. I don't think it's the type of athlete that they have. I don't think that has to do with it. I've seen some of the more athletic kids in Brownsville. I think it's just how spread out the talent pool is. People forget. You not only have the BISD schools. There's 6 of them now, but you also have the Jubilees. You also have Frontiers, and I think you have another Baptist school that plays there. First Baptist, Brownsville First Baptist. Like you're in St. Joseph Academy. How did I forget them? You have 10 or more schools there with all these athletes, and it seems a lot of them are really competitive most years. Most of the time, all of them are in something. Just to have them spread out, and it just goes to show how talented the pool is in Brownsville to be able to spread the kids out that much and still have the success that you guys have had, especially as of late. So, I mean, kudos to everybody out there. Kudos to you, Coach. I know you guys have such a really good program and a good solid foundation, and it starts with the kids and then with you guys. So, I mean, it's always a pleasure going there, and I really appreciate all you guys do. I guess lastly, as we start looking to wrap up here, Coach, things are starting to trickle back to some sort of normalcy. You guys are proceeding with caution. What do you want to see here in these weeks as we get closer to maybe opening up, the fall sports? Just what do you want to see,
More than anything, just want to see us, man, continue to be smart, be healthy. I want to see school start when it's supposed to start. I want to see football season and the rest of the sports start when they're supposed to start. But it's going to be a huge challenge because there's going to be, you hear about spikes in cases and so forth. And so, but that being said, hopefully UIL takes the approach where they're going to be, and I think they will be willing to adjust and push things back and so forth. Because I guess I'm sitting here thinking about our football kids, especially those that are going to be seniors, and I can't imagine there not being, for example, a football season or something to that effect. It means so much to them. They've invested so much, not just our kids, all the kids in the Valley and in the state. So, man, that's all. Football, all that takes care of itself. I just hope we help it. There's one of the favorite sayings I have in life is, when there's hope for the future, there's power in the present. And right now there's a lot of power going on with the way everybody's approaching things, and because there's hope, obviously, and hopefully we don't lose that hope.
Awesome, Coach. Great words to end on. Coach, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I always love it when our paths cross, and thank you for taking the time and coming in. I know you're a busy man. So I just want to thank you for being here again.
Mark, you're welcome whenever you need, man. Now, what you do too is a lot of hard work, and what you guys do for sports in the Valley, man, it we can't say enough. We can't be grateful enough to you guys. You guys, you do a beautiful thing. I can't imagine sports without you all. It would be not what it is. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach, for saying that. And guys, thank you for joining us here on another edition of the Sideline Sit Down. We're going to have one more show today. Kari Cisneros signing on for San Benito. She's going to be playing the softball at the next level. So join us here around 2 o'clock. We'll have that for you. And then we're going to have another slate on Wednesday and Friday, 1, 3, and 5. You guys know it. So just keep it here for the Sideline Sit Down. I just want to remind everybody, go follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on the Roku Network, YouTube, Apple TV, I believe. So just go and follow us there, and you can find all our stuff and these interviews. So thank you guys for watching. Coach, again, thank you for being here, and have a great day.
You too.